Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence with me, Victoria Reynoldson. And thank you so much for joining me today on this very special day. It is publication date for my first book, Become a Global Leader. And I'm celebrating in this special episode with my mentor and very special friend, Enfys Maloney. Welcome to the show, Enfys.
Oh, I'm so chuffed to be here. And today's the day. I can't believe it. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I invited Enfys on because we're going to do something a little bit different today. So, normally, when I have somebody on the show, I interview them and they tell us more about their story, about their views and insights on leadership, on communication, on cultural intelligence. But today, actually, Enfys is going to turn the tables on me, and I'm going to be the one who's being interviewed. So before we get started with that, Enfys, actually, do you want to just introduce yourself a bit more fully and tell the listeners a bit more about what you do as well?
Oh, thank you for welcoming me on, Victoria. It is really good to be here, especially because I'm hosting and I get to interview you and I get to ask the questions. So, what a privilege. And let's see what we can draw out of this conversation. I think that you're in such an exciting place in your own leadership journey and becoming an author for the first time, celebrating everything that you've achieved, but also maybe today we'll go under the hood and see like what it really takes to be a leader in this space, what it really takes you to be a leader in this space, and why have you written a book? If you could write about any topic, why leadership? What is its role? Why is it important? But was it hard? That's what I want to really know. I'm like, was it hard? Because we can see that we'll probably see a lot of the glossy stuff today as well. You know, this is the output day. This is the culmination of so much hard work. But I know the grit, the stamina, the self leadership that it's taken for you personally to get here, as it does every leader. So let's get into it. And to anybody who's curious, if you're thinking, yeah, great, but who are you? I'm Envis, and I run a sales training business called Sales Training with Envis, and we support incredible founders on their business growth journeys, and that's how I've worked so closely with Victoria over the last couple of years. And now she's a client and firm friend, and I'm really, really excited to share this experience and this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Enfys. Well, I really appreciate you taking on this special role today. I'm really curious to see what questions you're bringing to me. Slightly nervous being in the hot seat the other way around, but yeah, really excited to share more about the journey, the story behind the book.
Yeah, so let's start with the journey and and maybe why, you know, why why have you written this book, Victoria?
I There are lots of reasons why, and I think the first answer to that immediate question is that it's been on my mind for a very long time. It's a thing that I wanted to do. It'd been on my vision board that sits over here for those of you watching the video, and I known deep in my heart that there was a book inside me. There was a book that I wanted to bring to the world, which was really about the culmination of my 10 years of experience, of all the insights, learnings from all the work that I've done with individual clients and client organizations. And I really wanted to bring the best of that to people so they could access it in a way that means they can be anywhere around the world at any moment on that journey, and they can be inspired. They can activate it themselves. They can take it forward and really see the impact they can have in their own self leadership, their own career journey as well. And
Mm.
that dream was sitting there for a very, very long time. And it made me realize that I had to do something different if I was going to make that book happen. And part of that moment for me was what happened a year ago when I finally met somebody who I realized was going to really enable me to do that, a book coach who was very instrumental to me on that journey. But the dream started years ago. And in fact, I was a writer throughout my childhood, creative writing. I love writing. So I knew this book had to happen, particularly in this year, 10 years in business.
Yeah. Do you know what you've said so many times during that answer is the word time. like you've thought about it for a long time, but this is the time. You've been 10 years in business. And let's talk about the role of time, because is timing everything, or is it just a matter of deciding that this is the time? I think leadership, it's kind of, sometimes it's bestowed on us, and sometimes we embrace it. Sometimes we feel ready. Often we don't. So what is the role of like deciding that now is your time from a leadership perspective?
I think that's a brilliant question. And that's the fascinating thing, because I'd get to the end of each year and go, why didn't it happen this year?
Mm,
Like I set out the intention in January to write this book. Why didn't it happen? And I think there is definitely a role of deciding it's a priority and it's going to happen. Because look, I'm busy. Everybody who's listening to this show is busy. They have, lots going on in their lives professionally and personally. And I'm very much the same as well. And that is something that never goes away. So
mm.
then you have to decide, like, are you going to prioritize this? Is this important enough? Does this feed into your goals? And this is so fascinating because I talk about this with my own clients. What's the reason why you're doing this? Like, is it strong enough to really keep you focused and motivated and committed? And for me, yes, the book was. And so once I decided, for me, it was absolutely about getting the right support behind me, which is, always been my philosophy, which is why, I talked to a book coach, I've worked with you as a mentor. I've worked with other mentors in the past. And this is really important part of the journey. Self-leadership isn't about doing it by yourself. Actually
Mm.
having that support and knowing who's going to help you on that journey, keep you accountable, is really critical as well to your success.
It really is. You have just shared so much gold there. And I think, I see this a lot in the 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 other clients that I have. I see it in you, I see it in myself, you know, that we get to choose. Are we following doubt? Are we delaying? Are we just deciding to get on with it and decide to move forward despite the doubt and despite there not being enough time? And and I love how you've picked up as well on like self leadership isn't done by yourself. And I've said it many times before, like mentors need mentors and leaders need leaders. So should we talk a little bit about what the role of a leader? What do they do and what do they need?
Mm, that's such a brilliant question. And on the surface of it, it's just, it sounds so simple, right? We all have a vision of what a leader is about. But for me, a leader is somebody who, first of all, is deeply aware of who they are. And I understand leadership is about others as well. We'll come to that in a minute. But you have to start with yourself. You have to know who you are, what you're about, how you're showing up in the world, the energy and presence that you're bringing, how you motivate people and lead people towards a goal, a vision. And I think if you understand yourself first deeply, this is really important in then the decisions you make in how you lead yourself and how you lead others. In terms of what they do for others, of course, there are many different facets of leadership, whether it's about, looking after people, developing them, growing them, helping them on their journeys, expanding them, helping them to see themselves differently, and helping them to see their potential and talent as well. But what leaders need, and I see this increasingly with the clients that I work with, is that leaders need their own space to sometimes process what's going on, to be able to think things through, because that space is really lacking in day to day. And they need that sense of self growth, being able to have that room to really reflect on what they're learning and be able to take that forward. That's not easy to create. And that's what I love doing with my own clients as well, is creating that breathing space, thinking things through, being a sounding board, and helping them to recognize what is it they need, what's not in place in their foundations to really be the most expanded, fullest version of themselves.
Yeah, so interesting, isn't it? And as we delve into this and we recognize like what do leaders do and what do leaders need, can we talk a little bit about the emotional states, the universal emotional states of leaders? Because I think, and you may touch on this on the book, I'm going to read it immediately. I'm hoping my book copy will arrive today, or this week. But if from the outside, leaders look like they've got it all together, right? I think I'm definitely guilty of this myself. You know, showing a side of having it completely together. But I know for a fact I support hundreds of, of other leaders and yourself, and I'm operating at this level myself. And it's not, how much do we share? Is the role of a leader just to lead, or is the role of or is the role of the leader also to show any vulnerability, any weakness? Can you talk to me a
Mm.
little bit about the true emotional states of a leader, and how much can they share, or where should they share any vulnerability or doubt?
I think that's such a brilliant question. And there's so much I want to say on that topic because, yes, there are some leaders who feel this need to present this very polished image of what's going on. So that means that they have a front, the way they're showing up is all about they're in control, they know what's going on, they're holding it together. Culturally, what is interesting is that for some cultures, actually, that is what is expected of the leader. And showing vulnerability as a leader would be quite challenging in that environment where there's a sense of power distance or hierarchy. However, what I think is really interesting and really encouraging is that in some cultures, there is more vulnerability. In fact, there is more opportunity to kind of share what is going on behind the surface, behind the mask, if you like, what is really happening behind all of it. And that, I think that's really important because I remember once you saying to me, I was sharing something personal and you were saying, well, the reality is life keeps lifing in the background. And that's always stuck with me as an idea because the reality is that everywhere, everybody is going through their own experience of life. They are having their own personal challenges, family crises. Things are happening in the background that we just don't see.
Mm.
And they're experiencing that. As a leader, if we can bring more of that to the open, if we feel comfortable sharing that, then actually sometimes that invites that somebody else to share back. That's about sharing reciprocally. You get that sense of if I share a bit more with you, you feel like you can share with me, and we build a bit more of a connection that way. So for me, I am in my own leadership. I can only talk for myself. I am very conscious that I want to talk about my moments on my journey when I haven't felt like I've got it together, because I want others to understand it's not about being perfect. In fact, I often thought in my early career it was about this, and that all those people over there were super confident. They would always be, way better than me. I hated speaking when I was in my early career. I hated standing on stages. I'd literally avoid everything to be doing presentations. And yet here I am today. And that's a key part of my career now, speaking. And
Mm.
so I think what I really want people to know is it's okay to feel all the things, whether it's the nerves, the fears, the actually things are going on in the background, which life is falling apart a bit in the background. And that's why, I'm fairly open and honest about this year, although it's been a real year of amazing highs, and this book today, finally, this culmination of this year of writing, has also been in a year where my dad died. I talked about that publicly before, and that wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I couldn't write through that period. And yet, it also brings together your motivation, like why are you doing things? So there's a lot in there, I understand, in that answer. But I think for me, the point is we have to understand our own level of vulnerability, how far we want to go, and share what we feel comfortable with. But know when we share, that helps other people,
Mm.
invites them to share back, invites them to be vulnerable with us as well.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, so leaders feel the full spectrum of emotion from complete doubt to complete decision, and probably up and down in a day or an hour, even. But it's that emotional self-regulation and perseverance, right? And there's a couple of things that I want to pick up on here. So you mentioned so what I'm really drawing out is like you need to be authentic as a leader, but you decide what that means to you. And this cross-cultural reference, you are talking about becoming a global leader. So to navigate the leadership role and that position cross culture is really, really fascinating. But what I want to really delve into next is the difficult moments, like through this. How have you mentioned then that your father died, and that this year has been a challenging and also really, really productive, like successful year. Like you are on it. You've just launched your book today. But talk to me about the difficult moments, maybe this year, maybe before, where you had to really lean into your own self leadership and become a leader even when you possibly didn't feel like fully like the leader that you are so clearly are now. You've grown into this. So talk to me about some of the difficult moments where you didn't think that you could, but you did it regardless.
Yeah, I mean, this is such an important question because again, we don't often talk about the downsides and the hard moments and the challenges in leadership. And there are, as everybody else, I'm a human. Like there are lots of moments where things are tough. So, clearly my father passing away this year was a really tough moment for me personally and my family. And, if I just sort of pause on that for a moment, that was something where I had to stop writing. I had to stop doing everything. I couldn't work. And clearly that was the important time to stop, to pause, to be with my family, to remember a life well led. But coming back then to work after that, I found myself losing a bit of my own self leadership. And I thought, well, how can I write this book when I'm not feeling it? And I remember having conversations with you and thinking, well, I seem to have lost my way a little bit. I'm not sure what's what now. But what got me back on the path is thinking about who it is I'm helping. Like, why am I writing this book? Ultimately, this isn't a book for me. This is a book for other people, and this is for people who need my help, who want that help, who want to accelerate their career dreams, who want to become that global leader. And if I don't write that book, they can't they can't have that help. They can't have that value to be able to improve, to progress, to develop themselves and grow. And so for me, it was thinking about, okay, why am I doing this?
Mm.
Why do I do my work and move forward with this? And then really it was about, okay, how do I get myself back on track with my foundations?
Yeah.
And those foundations are critical to me, whether major life events like, as I described, the passing of my father, or whether it's even just my day to day and the stresses and strains and the tiredness of
Mm.
being a leader, running a business. And those foundations are absolutely critical. And I call them resilience factors. They're very personal to each person. For me, they are about sleep, they are about exercise and getting outside. And even though I live, fairly centrally in London, seeing green, seeing kind of the outside space, it is absolutely about the food I eat. And I easily get hangry, so I have to eat quite regularly. Otherwise, I get very hangry, hungry,
I can
angry.
identify with that, my dear.
But this is what I mean. Like, I realize when I'm feeling in these moments that I have to take responsibility for myself. Nobody's there to pick me up or rescue me. I've got to do it for myself. And stepping into self leadership sometimes is about recognizing that, knowing what you need, not allowing some things to spill over and just going, actually, I'm going to really focus on me right now. These are the foundations I need to get in place so I can now move forward again.
I love these resilience factors. I'm going to skip straight to that section in your book. But to go now to what will this book enable for its reader, for the leaders listening today and the aspiring leaders who are coming up, and I love this line of like leave the ladder down on your way up, and that's exactly what you're doing. And so, talk to me about what will this book enable for its readers? What are the dreams, goals that great leadership enable or open up to your readers, but to leaders generally?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to say is I have deliberately chosen a very, you could almost say like provocative, bold promise of a title, become a global leader. It's a serious promise, right? And I deliberately have chosen that because the people that I help and the people who really resonate with this are the people who are ready. It's not that
Mm.
they haven't got the experience or the expertise or the knowledge or the skills or the qualifications. They've got all of that and more. These are experienced people and they're ready and they're committed and they're determined. But these are the people who aren't not quite getting there. And what I have noticed in my work over the 10 years is that what holds people back are sometimes the limiting self beliefs, but often it's also about how they're showing up, how they're communicating as a leader. So, what the book is really focusing on is the understanding that the way that you speak, communicate, how you project yourself, how you interact with others and understand them, how you lead others, this is what's going to make the difference between you making it to that level or not, getting the
Mm.
promotion or not. And this is why the book is really centered around this. There are four key pillars within the book, and these are the pillars that I help people with. So, looking at empowering your confidence, mastering your clarity, connecting with cultural intelligence, and bridging the challenging conversations.
Mm.
And these are the four areas that some clients need all of these, some need one or two more than others, but it's the combination of the four which are deeply powerful together. And this is what unlocks the progress. And I've seen that progress. It is so exciting when I see my clients do this, when I see them get promoted, move up from UK board level to group board level, when they're standing in front of TV cameras being interviewed by the media, when they're on conference stages speaking as a thought leader in their industry. This is what really, really excites me.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps, Victoria. Like, I'm so excited. This unlocks progress, unlocks like the gateway to whatever you aspire to become, right? Leadership is everything, just you can't succeed without it, can you? And for you to have encapsulated all of your knowledge, your decade of experience and beyond into how many pages is it? Do you know how many pages it is?
I think it's 100 plus pages, something like 40,000 words.
There 40,000 words that will change your life and help your readers become who they dream to be. Is That's a beautiful thing. It is a big bold promise to become a global reader, but sorry, it is a big bold promise to become a global leader, but if not you, who, right? So looking ahead now, you're a published author. We are celebrating you for the foreseeable. So, what is next for you? If you like, this must feel like a pinch me. Or how does this moment feel? Let's talk to me about how this moment feels and what's next.
Yeah, I think that's such a brilliant question. I have to say, holding my book is just an amazing feeling. It is something I've been dreaming about for an incredibly long time. So to finally be holding it and going, this is it, this is reality, this is what I've done. And part of this as well is about legacy. The other thing about death is that it contrasts to life, and you realize actually this is also part of something I can leave behind in the world, that when I'm no longer here is there for others to keep growing, keep learning, keep progressing their own careers. But at the same time, as much as this has been my real focus for this year, I've talked nonstop about writing this book. It's been my everything in terms of dreams and writing and making it happen. I'm also really clear in my mind, this is not the end point.
No.
This is the start, actually. And this is the exciting bit for me, that, this isn't just, okay, job done. I'm like, now I'm going to put my feet up. This is it. No, this is part of my own leadership journey.
Can I just say, I have never thought of you as somebody who's going to just, oh, I'm just going to put my feet up. This is, I'm feeling like, hold on tight. Victoria has just like, she's going to take off like a rocket.
I'm just
That's
getting
what,
started. I'm
that's,
getting
that is,
started.
that's what I'm getting. And I love that energy and that commitment and the momentum. Sorry, I've just cut you up as well. But
No, I
continue,
love it. I
continue.
mean, for me, it is like absolutely about getting started, which is why I'm saying this is my first book. Who knows? There's going to be probably some future books in there. There's also going to be more speaking. I'm really
Mm,
excited about, I've been doing a lot more speaking recently on stages. I'm really excited about doing more conference speaking, more speaking in front of membership groups and organizations. Definitely more work with my one-to-one coaching. Absolutely adore that, helping
mm,
those leaders, the future and aspiring leaders, to really fulfill their dreams. And of course, my client organization work, working with organizations all around the world to really help them on their journey. And, that is what really lights me up. Doing this work, realizing how it's making a difference, how it has real impact for people's lives. And then when people tell me this, when they tell me what happens as a result, how they feel different, how it's changed the way they see themselves as a leader, wow, that is what it's about for me. It is such a worthwhile work when I hear that from them. And that's the reason why I do this. Ultimately, it is ultimately realizing that I can genuinely help people to realize what is important to them, their dreams, their goals, and help them on that journey.
well, celebrating all things Victoria. I'm so proud and privileged to have been your mentor, to be alongside you on this journey, and to be in this moment celebrating this day. Congratulations to all you have achieved and everything that is to come. And thank you for having me as your host. And go and read the book, right? So I'm going to
Absolutely.
put down my hosting hat, hand back to you, and just say thank you for having me in this space with you today.
Well, Enfys, thank you so much. And before I do a sort of proper thank you, I just want to say, of course, it would be remiss of me not to encourage everybody here to go buy the book. So this is the day. You can go buy it now. Become a global leader. You can head over to www.culturecuppa.com/book. And of course, that will be in the show notes as well. But I would love for everyone here to go buy their book and let me know how you find it, what's valuable, what resonates with you. But coming back to today and this interview, Enfys, you have been a fantastic host to the show. Thank you so much for stepping into the role, asking such thoughtful questions, really made me reflect. And, you're very much part of my journey of leadership as well. So for me, you are the perfect person to be the host today. And I've really enjoyed having this conversation. So thank you so much for joining me on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic. Lovely. Well, look forward to seeing everyone next time.